So publication ethics describe what you can do and you cannot do when you are doing your research and writing your publications. What you can do and cannot do. Okay, this is very important, but it's a very contentious, debatable area as well, because there are some things that's clearly that you cannot do. There are something the line is very blurry. Okay, so it is more a discussion today. So first thing you have to ask yourself, why do people believe in science? Okay, why do policymakers, why do the public believe in science? Okay, why do people believe in science rather than superstition, rather than superstitions? Okay, any ideas why people actually believe in science? Why people put their faith? Why government, policymakers, patients, they believe in science? So people actually believe in science because science represent trusted, replicable, and reliable knowledge, and science can autocorrect. Okay. Trust replicable meaning that um you do this experiment A today, if you do it tomorrow, you get the same result. You do it 1 month after, you get the same result. This is replicable. So this drug tested to be useful in hypertension, tested patient A, useful, patient B, useful, patient C, useful. That's why people believe in science. And reliable. People see that science offer reliable and trusted knowledge because scientists are reliable. Whether it's true or not is another story, but general perception is that scientists are reliable people, are honest people. The truth, whether it's correct or not, we don't know. Okay, but how to ensure the above? How do we ensure that science are trusted, replicable, and reliable? This is true ethics. Okay, a set of guidelines on how scientists will behave. Okay, so as a scientist, ethics, although it's not a law, ethics is not a law, but it's a general, it's like a moral, like moral educations. Scientists are expected to act in this way, to uphold their moral. So in terms of ethics, there are many level of ethics, of course. There are ethics in conducting a research, and there are ethics in publication. Today, we are focusing more on ethics in publications. So the ethics in publications, the guideline is set mostly by this committee on publication ethics definitions. All of the journal out there, their editorial processes also adhere to the guidelines set by COPE. So most of the content of this lecture is also derived from COPE website. Okay, so what is ethics? According to COPE, is the principle guiding and supporting researcher, editors, reviewer, and other parties involved in publications to do their work responsibly and also transparently. So everyone involved in publishing your manuscript, from the author level, editor level, peer review level, the journal level, or adhere to and support the ethical standards set by COPE. And this ethical standard applied to many aspects of the research process, from manuscript preparation, submission, peer review, publication, and corrections, okay? Even post publications. So what's the purpose of publication ethics? They want to make sure that research is accountable. Someone is responsible for the research and to prevent misconduct, and also help other people to repeat the research, because most of the time we benefited from repeating the research. Okay, it protects the people from harmful effect of malpractice, because let's say if you design a drug which is not effective against a disease and you claim that it's effective, it's going to harm the patients. So you want to protect this kind of scenario to happening, and then you want to protect the patients. and then it helped to guide complex. It helped to the editors, journals to make complex decision when issues comes out. So these are the aspect of publication ethics set by COPE. We are not going to cover every part in detail. Some part will cover in details, the other part will skip through. Okay, so research ethics, the research that's going to be published must be ethical. Authorship, whoever become the authors have to be held responsible for the publications. Misconduct, publication, post-publication review, you should allow discussions of the manuscript even it is published. And also plagiarism. Plagiarism is copy. We should avoid from plagiarizing or copying people's idea or words. Peer review, we have to make sure the peer review process fair, and data, we have to make sure the data is shareable and also reproducible, and also conflict of interest. As I said just now, it must be declared. So these are the brief explanation of each aspect according to COPE, and I tell you just now. So we'll move on to the first part, which is research ethics. Okay, so what is research ethics? Meaning that the studies that you have submitted to a journal, they must be conducted according to the ethical standard, okay, by human ethics or by animal ethics. The ethical approval must be obtained from the institutional reviewer board with the approval code before the study starts. And you have to make sure that informed consent has been obtained from the human subject before they participate in your research. And point 2 and 3, meaning that ethical approval and informed consent, written informed consent, should be declared in the manuscript. Without these declarations, your manuscript will be rejected immediately. We don't care how good is your result, how important is the result. We don't see ethical approval, we don't see informed consent, straight away rejections. Yeah. And these are the step we take to minimize harm to the patients, animals involved in the research. And sometimes, for example, I'm the editor of a journals, I have the right to ask the authors to send me the ethical approval document for verification purpose. For example, I don't believe that this study has been approved by ethical board. I can ask the journal, I can ask the authors to send me the ethical approval letter or certificate. If they fail to send me, I will reject the manuscript. I will complain to the school of the authors that this study has been sent to me and it's without proper ethics. Okay, so ethical approval is very important. It can bring serious consequences to the patient, animals, and also the author itself. So what you cannot do in terms of research ethic, what don't, okay, the things that you shouldn't do. First thing, you cannot do data manipulation or falsifications, meaning that you manipulate your research data, materials, equipment to get the outcome that you want, okay? Or you mispresent the research record, okay? For example, you change the color intensity of your Western blot images of the histological images. This is not, this should not be done, okay? Data fabrication, for example, you make up your own data, okay? The data is not there, but you make it up. For example, you only have 10 subjects, okay, in your study, but you measure the subject 5 times. And you claim that these are data from 50 subjects. But in truth, you are actually making up the data point from 10 subjects. This is wrongdoing. This should not be conducted. What you should do in research ethics is that you be honest and transparent about your research process and results, and you declare the protocol before starting the research, and you declare negative result. Negative result are results that are not significant. Okay, it's very important for you to include and declare this result so the other people would not repeat the same mistake or repeat the same step and waste their money and time. Okay. Then we are going to talk about authorship. Okay. So authorship, who are qualified to become authors of a manuscript? Okay, authors are creator, originator for an idea. Okay, they come up with a theory, an idea about something, or they are the persons. Okay, or group of persons who develop and bring to fruition, meaning that they complete the studies and disseminate their ideas of their creative work, their publication, for example. So people who come out with the idea can become an author. People who do the work in the lab, okay, collect data, they can become the authors of manuscript as well. Idea and also actions count. Okay, so authorship comes with prestige, rewards, and responsibility. People often look at the prestige and reward, or want to become authors for a manuscript. However, they overlook they have their responsibility as well. If a mistake has been discovered in the manuscript, the authors have to be responsible. Okay, so responsibility should not be overlooked in authorship. So these are the guidelines for International Committee of Medical Journals editor. So these are the people who are qualified to become authors, meaning that authors are those people who have contributed substantially to the conceptions or the design of the work, who design the study, or who are involved in acquisitions, analysis, and interpretation of data, or who have collected the data, analyze the data, and tell the reader what the data mean. All of these people are qualified as author, who draft the work and review it critically for important intellectual content. People who write the manuscript, people who edit the manuscript and provide critical review are qualified for authors as well. People who give the final approval for the revision to be published, that is qualified. He or she is qualified for authors as well. And whoever become the authors, we assume that they have agreed to be accountable for all aspects of the work in ensuring the questions related to the accuracy, integrity, or part of the work are appropriately investigated and resolved. So when the work is published and there are people who questions, this result is not correct. This shouldn't be done that way. There are some malpractice in this paper. All the authors should be able to answer these questions and be held responsible for all the issues raised for the published work. So it is good to have your name listed as an author, but when issue come out later, you have to be responsible in answering and resolve all this issue, or else you'll be held responsible. Okay, and these are some not ethical authorship practice. These are not good authors practice. Okay, for example, ghost authorship. Okay, ghost authorship is when someone is omitted or deleted from the author list despite qualifying for authorship. Okay, they are supposed to be there, but their name is missing. This is called ghost authorship. Okay, their name are intentionally left out. Paper mill. Paper mill are company. Okay, paper mill are companies that write a lot of manuscript and then they sell the manuscript. Okay, so people can actually buy the manuscript and put their name as author, and then it'll be submitted to journal for publication. This happened to a lot of competitive countries where publication number is a criteria for promotions. Okay, so authorship for sale is also not a good practice. But they are actually not involved in the writing and conduct of the research. Gift authorship. Gift authorship, it is when you are a senior professor, head of department, head of the group, and you ask your subordinate, your associate professor, when you write a paper, you have to put my name, although you have no contributions. There's a gift authorship. It is also not ethical. You have contributed nothing, but your name is listed. And guest authorship. Guest authorship is when You know that a certain professor, they are the expert in the field. When the name appear in that paper, the paper automatically get accepted. Then you put the name without his or her knowledge or not. Okay, this is a guest authorship. It's also not ethical because that person actually have not contributed ideas, have not read and write the manuscript, have not are not involved in the study, but yes, their name is there just to make sure that the manuscript will be accepted easier. And also changes in authorship during revisions or upon acceptance. When you put the name of the authors during submissions, usually it cannot be changed. The author's name cannot be changed. The affiliation, their university name cannot be changed after you have submit. Okay, any changes during this process is going to trigger alert from the journal, and then the journal is going to ask you why this person has to be added, why the name has to be changed, affiliation has to be changed, and this change have to be consented by all the authors involved in that manuscript. Okay, so make sure that when you are submitting your manuscript, all the author's name, the affiliations are all correct. If they are not correct, you have to undergo a very tedious process to change it, and the journal might not want to change it. Okay. Some people that when they get accepted or the journal get revised, they want to put more authors inside because there's a guarantee now that this journal is going to be accepted. I want to put one or two more people, friends inside so that the name will appear during publication. This is not acceptable. And dispute due to being left out. Sometimes you are involved in the project. You wrote the manuscript when you are students, and then before publishing it, you left the school. And then afterwards, you realize that your supervisor published that manuscript. Your name is not there. This is not ethical practice as well. You are being left out, although you have write the papers. Okay, so this is left out. This will consider disagreement. Like you can actually write to the journal and say that my name should be included. I have all the evidence that I have been contributing a lot in this work, and I'm being left out in the authorship. This can be an issue as well, especially for students. Like students, sometimes they are left the school after writing the manuscript. They are intentionally left out during the publication process. This is not ethical. It can be challenged. Conflict of interest. Okay, so as I said just now, scientific reports might be compromised by interests such as financial or non-financial. If any of the authors have receiving a research and also education grant, receive payment for services or stock exchange share of the company, receiving non-financial help for advancement of professional career, all these should be declared in the manuscript if they are relevant. Okay, so not to say the editor will reject the manuscript because you get sponsorship from company, but then this will take into consideration when they are reading the manuscript. However, if this is not declared and then later on people find out, then the manuscript will be retracted after publications. Then peer review. Okay, I know peer review is very complicated process, but it should be fair and timely. It's usually in a single blinded or double blinded manner. Usually, the authors will not know the peer reviewer. However, sometimes the peer reviewer will know the author's name. Okay, so if peer reviewer know the author's name, it becomes single blinded. If peer review also doesn't know the author's name, they become double blinded. No, so both are being performed nowadays. So who can review a manuscript? Usually when you submit a manuscript, you'll be asked to suggest a few peer reviewer, right? So who are those people? Usually we name someone who's expert, who's fairly familiar with your field of work, but who you cannot name, okay? You cannot name anyone who share the same institutional address as you. So let's say you submit a manuscript, you are being asked to name the peer reviewer. you cannot name another person from UKM. Usually this will be disregarded by the journal lah. If you suggest anyone from UKM, they will not take this name. Or you cannot name anyone who have recently published together with you. For example, you call this. These are the people that you cannot become the peer review of your current manuscript. So what's the role of the editor? We will initiate assessment. If you think that your manuscript is good enough, we will start the peer review process. We'll invite people to review your manuscript, and then we will assess the comment, replies, and decide whether your manuscript should be accepted or not. And then all are the final decisions whether to include or to reject a manuscript is on the editor, whatever the peer reviewer say. Sometimes you encounter incidents whereby both of the reviewers say yes, we accept this manuscript, but the editor can reject. If you think that the opinion of the reviewer is not good enough, they will still reject the manuscript. Okay, so this is why you have incidents whereby maybe 2 out of 3 peer reviewer they say yes, accept this manuscript. In the end, the editor still reject. This is because editor have the final say in whether to include or exclude a manuscript from the journals. About data, some journal will require data set to be disclosed as submissions or during peer review. So I think many of the NDPI journal will require data set to be uploaded, and also PeerJ will make it compulsory for you to upload your data. And data that is uploaded should be anonymized. You cannot have patient name in the data that you upload, store, and share. Okay. Data are being asked to share because the journal want to promote transparency and reusability of data. And if data cannot be shared due to sensitivity or data or IP application, IP are patent. Okay, you want to apply patent, you cannot share data. This reason should be included during the declarations at the declaration part. Okay. Plagiarism. Plagiarism is a very important concept in ethics as well, especially in writing. So what are considered plagiarism? Okay. Plagiarism is using other people's words or idea. Okay. In your own publications without giving acknowledgement to the original idea, owners of the ideas or words or manuscript. Okay. So plagiarism can occur at any stage of planning, research, writing, or publications. So there are many types of plagiarism. Sometimes it's intentional plagiarism. You directly borrow or cut and paste other people's work into your work without giving credit to the original authors. This is very intentional. You copy paste for other people's work into your own manuscript. That's intentional plagiarism. Unintentional plagiarism is that you use other people's words or idea, but you use it wrongly. Okay, giving a different meaning under different context that twisted the original idea, the meaning of original phrases, okay, or ideas. This is unintentional plagiarism. So you use, however, you give credit, but the usage is wrong. Okay, idea is wrong because you understand it wrongly. Okay, there's unintentional plagiarism. Plagiarism of idea is that you use idea and thoughts of other people as it is from you. Okay, for example, you know Isaac Newton discovered gravity, right? And suddenly you claim, I discovered gravity. So you plagiarize Isaac Newton's idea without giving contributions that Isaac Newton discovered gravity first. Okay, you use other people's ideas as your own without giving credits. Plagiarism of text, word-to-word plagiarism is that you copy directly. Okay, you just cut and paste without giving sufficient credits. Or you copy and paste but change very little. This is considered a word-to-word plagiarism. Mosaic plagiarism is that you borrow a lot of different sentences and phrases from different publication and merge into one manuscript. This is called mosaic plagiarism. You know mosaic, right? So you take some from this paper, take another from that paper, take another from that paper, merge everything and then into your own paper and claim that this is your own. So this is not allowed. Okay. Self-plagiarism is that you have published many papers and then you plagiarize your own paper. So when you publish a paper, usually the copyright belongs to a journal. So if you copy from your previous paper into a new manuscript, it's still considered plagiarism. Okay, so you have to paraphrase. Even though you are doing a big studies, from that big studies you give different papers, but the methodology are the same. You still have to paraphrase it enough or to acknowledge that the protocol had been published elsewhere. Okay, before you incorporate into your new writings. So we are moving on to the last part, which is quite trendy now, which is AI. Can you use DeepSeek? Can you use ChatGPT? Can you use Gemini in your writing? Can you do that? You can, okay. No one stopping you from using them, but there are some ethical standard on how you can use them. So this ethical standard can be summarized into 3 points. Okay, you need to declare. When you use, you need to declare. Okay, you have a friend who is interested in the in the issues. You have to understand the limitation, what you can use and what you cannot use for AI in writing. And you need to verify everything the AI give you or the LLM give you, you have to verify because you are responsible for the manuscript yourself. So we look at some of the AI policy by different publisher. You know Elsevier, right? Elsevier is a big publisher. Okay. So what is their AI policy? They say that um their AI policy only applied to the writing process. Okay. And it only can be used to improve readability and language of the work. Okay. AI can be used to improve the language. No problem. You can use that. It must be done using oversight. So even when you use AI, you have to read the paper yourself. You have to correct the mistake made by AI, and you are responsible for the content. Any mistake made by AI is not AI fault, it's your fault. Okay, so you have to take responsibility. And you have to disclose in your manuscript that you have to disclose in your manuscript when you use AI. AI cannot be author. You cannot put ChatGPT as one of the author, cannot. Okay. And you are not permitted to use AI to create image and author image. You cannot make figures using AI. That is not allowed. Okay. You look at Springer. Springer say AI cannot be author and you cannot use AI images in publications. And reviewer cannot use AI to review manuscript. They don't allow it. Whaley say AI should be used as a companion as writing process, not replacement. You cannot use AI to replace your job. Okay, but they can help you in your writing. Um, Authors should maintain documentation. So when you use AI, let's say you copy paste your paragraph to DeepSeek and ask DeepSeek, can you improve the English of this manuscript? The chat record you should keep. You cannot delete. You cannot delete your chat record with AI. Okay, must keep because sometimes the editor want to see the chat record, how you ask AI to improve your language. And when you are using AI, you have to disclose it. You have to mention in the manuscript, I use AI to improve my language in the declarations. You cannot, the AI use must align with privacy, confidentiality, and compliance. And you must maintain your voice in using AI, okay? So don't let AI think for you. You have to think yourself and then ask AI to correct or improve. So this goes with our first step in using AI. You have to declare. When you use AI, you have to declare. So you have to declare the model of AI used in your manuscript and the purpose. And you have to reinstate the responsibility and contribution for author. So these are some of the manuscript written by my students. As you can see, this is a Chinese students. These are my Chinese students. For Chinese student, I'm not sure, Ms. Tang, you agree or not. Some of my Chinese students, when they write their first manuscript, they write in Mandarin first. They write their manuscript, they write in Mandarin. Then they use ChatGPT or they use other software to translate the manuscript from Mandarin to English. And then they send me the English one to correct. So this translation process through AI should be declared. It has to be declared. I know Chinese students that like to use this Youdao AI box to translate. So if you use Youdao to translate, you have to let the editor know. I use translation tool. My first draft in Mandarin. Okay? Because sometimes the editor want you to disclose. I don't believe this is written by you. I want you to show me first draft until last draft. And your first draft is Mandarin, second draft English. Something must happen in between, right? So you have to declare translation tool use. And also, let's say ChatGPT and things like that. If you use that, you have to declare. So this one written by myself, you can see only my name here. I use ChatGPT 3.5 to polish the language. I must say it out. But I am responsible for the content. All the authors are responsible for content. I use that for language purpose only. But the content wise, I am the one who decide and make the content. Okay, so the first step, you have to declare whatever you use. Whenever you use AI, you have to declare for what purpose. And then you have to understand what AI can do and cannot do. So what AI can do is that when you write, for example, you're writing a review and things like that, you can ask AI to give me an outline how to write this. Okay, how to write this manuscript. Suggest me what should be included in each of the sections. This is generating outline. Polish. You can ask ChatGPT or DeepSeek to improve the language, the English of this manuscript. Yes, you can do that, polish language, but you need to declare. Generate outline, usually we don't declare. It's okay. Analyze data. Yes, you need to declare. Let's say sometimes you analyze data using RStudio or Python. Okay, so you ask the AI to generate a script for you. How to write, how to analyze. You need to declare that. Tidy up references. Let's say you are not using EndNote, you are not using Mendeley. You want to do the references yourself. You can ask, you can paste the references to AI and say, I want to submit to postgraduate medicine. Can you format the references, the bibliography, following the format of postgraduate medicine format? That one you can do as well. Some of my students do that. However, recently, a few days ago, there is an unhappy incident. One of my students do that. Ask AI to reformat the references, but after reformatting, he didn't check. He didn't check the accuracy of the references. Many of the references, the name and the journal name has been altered during the process. So I also didn't realize that it has been altered. So I submit, and then the editor of the journal say, no, these references is wrong. It cannot be traced in PubMed. So it kind of embarrassing for me. It's like I'm generating the manuscript using AI. And the AI had hallucinate and give me a lot of fake references. So I actually asked the student what happened. What happened? Did you use AI to generate references or things like that? And the students tell me that they asked AI, they use AI to reformat the references, but didn't check. So that's why there's a lot of error in the references. So everything AI do, you have to check. Okay. The final thing, if you are using grammar editing tool, for example, Grammarly, do you know Grammarly? It's a language editing tool. So when you write, Grammarly will correct for you. So sometimes I declare Grammarly, but the journal say that if you are using Grammarly, which is a tool that is editing while you are writing, you don't need to declare. It's okay not to declare. Okay. What AI cannot do is that AI cannot be author. You cannot put ChatGPT or DeepSeek as author. Okay. And then AI cannot be used to draft the entire manuscript for you. You ask AI, DeepSeek, give me 3,000 word review on this topic. Cannot. You cannot do that. Okay. You cannot modify or generate images. Okay. I know some of my students like to do this. They write sections on the mechanism or actions of certain drugs. And then they feed it to AI. They ask AI, give me a schematic diagram of the mechanism of actions of these drugs. And AI draw it. And then when I read the figure, I know that this is AI generated. The informations are wrong. Usually AI generated images, they cannot capture the detailed mechanism of actions. They cannot comprehend the detailed mechanism of reaction of the drug or the paragraph. So many of the detail will be wrong. Okay, so do not generate images using AI. You can ask AI to generate images to give you some idea how to draw, but don't use the images drawn by AI. You use the images suggested by AI and then you draw yourself using other software. Okay. And you cannot ask AI to generate references because AI still hallucinate. You give you references that do not exist, or they'll combine a few references into one. Okay, so these are things AI cannot do. And the step 3 is to verify. You have to check the editing. So let's say you ask AI to polish the language of the manuscript. You have to ensure that the meaning of the polished text is not altered. The meaning is still there. There's no accidental deletion of content. So sometimes I use ChatGPT to polish language. I say, make sure that the ideas between paragraph flow very well. So sometimes in order to increase or improve the flow of the manuscript, it will delete my content. So that one you have to check whether during the proofreading or during the language editing processes, whether the AI intentionally delete your content to improve the flow. You have to ensure the accuracy of the suggested references. Well, sometimes they do give you some suggested references. You have to check. Go into the references and check whether the references are accurate. And make sure that your personal voice is heard. So every one of us have our own writing style. So sometimes to maintain the style, I ask the AI, you can correct my grammatical error, but if there's no error, you don't correct. You maintain my sentence because I want sentences to be written in such a way. Okay, so make sure your personal voice is maintained in your manuscript. So do remember, only human author can be held responsible for the content. Any mistake made by AI is our own responsibility because we didn't check and verify. So you have to check. And AI cannot replace human. Even every different AI, they they are generated by different group of people. So they inherit the bias, errors, and some mistake by human as well. And they can hallucinate. So they cannot replace a human authors. And most importantly, because you're undergoing training as academicians, if you let AI replace your role as academicians, then one day we are going to lose our job. So you have to respect right and confidentiality. You cannot use images generated by AI because there is the right of these images are not very clear. You don't know who owned the figures and the pictures used by AI. And peer reviewers usually, many of journal, we are not allowing peer reviewer to upload the manuscript to AI for peer review. With that said, you still realize that recently there's a lot of peer reviewer that write their comment using AI. They upload your manuscript to AI, ask AI to review for them. So I'm going to show you one very funny images. This image is published by Frontiers, Q1 journal. It is AI, and it creates a lot of news. So this is a new scientific journal published AI-generated rats with gigantic penis in worrying incidents. This is the figure published in the journal. It is not correct. All the anatomical positions, everything are not correct. Okay. To see stem cell, because stem cell is wrongly spelled. Okay, spermatoid, because spermatocele cell, this is not correct. This don't know what kind of word is that. Okay, so a lot of language error. Okay, and the image are out of proportion. This is why people say this will have a giant penis. It's because of this. So it looked beautiful. It looked almost correct. But if you scrutinize, all the details are wrong. These are the limitations of AI in generating scientific images. So do be careful. You can draw inspirations from these images, but you cannot use the images directly generated by AI. You can, you know, based on this idea, you want to draw yourself, okay, but then don't use these images. So what happened when people breach ethics, all the ethics issues that we have discussed just now? Usually disciplinary actions, okay? We have to issue apology letters because of the wrongdoing. Sometimes we have to retract the articles that we already published. If the ethical concern involve misuse of money because you use the government money for unethical practices, we can face suspensions, meaning that we lose our job, and then we might face prosecutions because we are using money for inappropriate practices. So we can feel jail time also. And you will, of course, damage the reputations and our career. We will lose our career, we will lose our company, lose our reputations. So sometimes when when our article get retracted by journals, the entire publishing house will not entertain our future submissions. They will all reject all these papers written by us once we have made some mistake in one article leading to retractions. So it's very delicate matters. So try not to do anything wrong because the implication is long lasting. It will affect our career. And that's all I want to tell you today, okay, regarding author's guideline and also ethics